Never underestimate a man who is comfortable in his own silence. He is not lonely, he is unavailable to manipulation. While others need noise, validation, and witnesses, he sharpens himself unseen. Men like this don't announce power. They reveal it when it's too late to react. By understanding this, your presence will become rarer, not louder. Your emotions will leak less, your intentions will stay unreadable. You will stop needing the crowd and start controlling the room. This is where exposure ends and leverage begins. A man who enjoys being alone has already crossed a psychological threshold most people never reach. While the majority are unconsciously driven by the need for external stimulation, approval, and constant interaction, this man has severed that dependency. His solitude is not accidental, and it is not the result of social failure. It is chosen, and choice is the first signal of power. When a man no longer needs others to regulate his emotions or confirm his worth, he becomes internally anchored. He is no longer pulled by the invisible strings of validation, attention, or reassurance. This immediately places him outside the control systems that govern most human behavior. Most people fear being alone because silence forces confrontation with the self. Unresolved insecurities, doubts, and internal chaos surface when distractions disappear. The man who enjoys solitude has already faced this internal resistance and survived it. That process hardens psychological discipline. He learns to think without emotional interference, to evaluate situations without the urgency to be liked, and to make decisions without needing consensus. This is why his presence feels different. He does not seek entry into social hierarchies, he observes them. He does not rush to signal value, he lets others reveal theirs. In isolation, clarity becomes unavoidable. Without constant opinions shaping his thoughts, he develops his own internal framework. His beliefs are not borrowed. His standards are not negotiated socially. This makes him predictable to himself and unpredictable to others. Most people operate reactively, adjusting their behavior based on social feedback loops. He does not. He operates from internal alignment, which gives him consistency under pressure and calm during chaos. This calm is often misread as passivity until action becomes necessary. Because he does not fear absence, he is not intimidated by distance, silence, or withdrawal. This removes leverage from anyone attempting to influence him emotionally. He cannot be rushed with urgency, pressured by expectations, or destabilized by exclusion. The absence of dependency creates psychological insulation. People sense this instinctively. They may not understand it, but they feel it. Conversations shift, power dynamics adjust. The man who enjoys being alone does not dominate through force or volume. He dominates through self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency at its highest level is unspoken authority. Silence is not empty space, it is controlled territory. A man who understands this does not rush to fill it. While most people speak to relieve internal tension or to secure relevance, he withholds speech as a strategic choice. Every unnecessary word weakens position. Every unearned explanation gives others leverage. By remaining silent, he forces the environment to adjust to him rather than adjusting himself to the environment. This is where dominance quietly begins. Most people are uncomfortable with pauses. They interpret silence as rejection, disinterest, or weakness, and instinctively move to correct it by talking more. In doing so, they reveal intentions, insecurities, and emotional states. The man who enjoys being alone has trained himself not to rescue conversations. He lets silence do the work. As others rush to fill the gap, they overexpose themselves. He gathers information without asking questions, simply by allowing people to speak into the void they cannot tolerate. This restraint gives his words disproportionate weight. When he finally speaks, it is not to be noticed, but to be precise. Scarcity creates value, and communication follows the same rule. Because he does not compete for airtime, his statements feel deliberate and final. People listen more carefully, not because he demands attention, but because his silence has trained them to. He does not argue to dominate, he states and moves on. This behavior subtly establishes authority without confrontation. Silence also protects emotional positioning. When a man reacts immediately, he surrenders control of timing. The man who pauses maintains it. He allows emotions to pass before responding, which prevents impulsive decisions and public emotional leakage. This makes him difficult to provoke. Attempts to bait shame or pressure him fail because he does not respond on cue. In power dynamics, control of reaction speed often determines who leads and who follows. He leads by not reacting. Over time, this pattern changes how others treat him. People begin to measure their words around him. They seek his reactions. They attempt to earn his engagement. Silence creates gravity. While loud personalities repel or overwhelm, controlled quietness draws focus. It signals confidence without performance. Most people equate presence with activity. He understands that presence is felt most strongly when it is restrained. Importantly, his silence is not withdrawal from reality. It is engagement at a higher level. He listens more than he speaks, observes more than he interrupts, and responds only when alignment is clear. This allows him to detect shifts in power, emotion, and intention before others are aware they've occurred. By the time action is required, he is already ahead. This is why silence recalibrates dominance. It removes the need to prove, explain, or justify. It forces others to project meaning, often revealing more than they intend. The man who enjoys being alone has mastered this dynamic privately, long before applying it publicly. His quiet is not hesitation, it is control. A man who can remain alone without distraction develops a level of emotional control that most people never access. Solitude removes the external regulators people rely on to manage their inner state. There is no audience to impress, no conversation to escape into, no stimulation to numb discomfort. What remains is the raw internal environment. Most people avoid this space because it exposes instability. The man who stays learns to regulate himself from the inside. This is where emotional discipline is forged. When emotions arise in isolation, there is no immediate outlet. Anger cannot be discharged through argument, insecurity cannot be masked through humor, anxiety cannot be diluted through constant interaction. The man who enjoys being alone learns to sit with these states without acting on them. Over time, this builds separation between feeling and behavior. He understands that emotions are signals, not commands. This distinction is critical. Most people are controlled by their emotional impulses because they confuse intensity with importance. He does not. This internal restraint becomes visible in real-world situations. Under pressure, while others rush to respond, explain, or defend themselves, he pauses. That pause is not uncertainty. It is calibration. He allows the emotional spike to pass before choosing action. This prevents him from giving away power through impulsive reactions. Emotional leakage is one of the fastest ways to lose leverage. He does not leak, he contains. Because he has practiced emotional control privately, public situations feel slower to him. Conflict does not escalate his heart rate the way it does for others. Social tension does not force immediate compliance. He can absorb discomfort without needing to neutralize it. This makes him difficult to destabilize. Attempts to provoke shame or rush him fail because he does not emotionally synchronize with the aggressor. He stays on his own internal tempo. This also affects decision-making. Emotionally reactive people optimize for relief, not outcomes. They choose what feels good now, what ends tension quickly, or what restores approval. The man who enjoys being alone has learned to tolerate short-term discomfort in service of long-term advantage. He does not rush decisions to soothe anxiety. He does not overcommit to prove loyalty. He does not retreat simply to restore peace. His choices are slower, heavier, and more deliberate. In moments of confrontation, this creates a quiet imbalance. While others reveal their emotional position through tone, posture, and urgency, he reveals nothing unnecessary. This forces the other side to guess. Guessing creates uncertainty, and uncertainty shifts power. People begin to overcorrect, explain themselves, or soften their stance. He does not need to dominate overtly. Emotional control does the work for him. Importantly, this discipline does not make him cold or detached. It makes him selective. He still feels, but he decides when and where expression is useful. He understands that emotional exposure is a form of currency. Spend it carelessly, and its value collapses. Spend it strategically, and it creates bonds, trust, or impact. Most people spend without awareness. He invests with intention. Over time, this internal mastery compounds. Emotional storms that once felt overwhelming become manageable. Situations that paralyze others become neutral terrain. This does not happen through suppression, but through familiarity. Solitude trained him to recognize emotional patterns early, before they escalate. By the time others notice they are losing control, he has already stabilized. This is why emotional control is not learned in crowds. It is learned in silence, repetition, and self-observation. A man who enjoys being alone has rehearsed this process thousands of times without witnesses. When pressure arrives, he is not learning. He is executing. A man who is comfortable being alone cannot be controlled through fear of abandonment. Because abandonment holds no threat to him. Most manipulation relies on a simple pressure point, the human need for connection, approval, or belonging. When that need is strong, influence becomes easy. Guilt, urgency, emotional framing, and social pressure all work because the target fears being cut off. The man who enjoys solitude has already removed that leverage. He is not immune to connection, but he is not dependent on it. That distinction changes everything. Because he does not fear distance, he is not hurried by ultimatums. Deadlines designed to force compliance fail against him. Emotional statements meant to provoke immediate reassurance fall flat. Silence used as punishment loses its effect. He does not chase clarity to relieve discomfort. He allows ambiguity to exist. This alone places him outside the reach of most psychological tactics because manipulation requires reaction. He does not react on demand. Most people negotiate from a position of emotional exposure. They reveal urgency through tone, justification, or over-explaining. This creates imbalance. The person who needs resolution first loses power. The man who enjoys being alone can tolerate unresolved space. He does not rush conversations to conclusion. He does not seek closure simply to calm anxiety. By allowing situations to remain open-ended, he retains optionality. Optionality is power. This tolerance for withdrawal makes him difficult to corner. Social pressure works by isolating the target and making isolation feel dangerous. For him, isolation is familiar territory. He has already learned how to operate there. When others attempt to exclude, withhold, or distance themselves to regain control, they discover the tactic has no effect. In some cases, it backfires. The absence they intended as punishment becomes relief for him. This reverses the power dynamic quietly, but decisively. Because he is not emotionally desperate, his boundaries are firm without being aggressive. He can say no without explanation. He can disengage without hostility. He can walk away without theatrics. This unnerves people who rely on emotional entanglement to maintain influence. They are accustomed to resistance that argues, pleads, or negotiates. His resistance is simply absence. Absence cannot be debated. This also changes how others approach him. People sense when emotional leverage is unavailable. They become more respectful, more measured, more careful with their words. Manipulators avoid him instinctively, even if they cannot articulate why. There is no opening, no visible insecurity to exploit, no emotional hook to pull. His independence creates psychological insulation. Importantly, this does not mean he is detached or uninvested. It means his investments are voluntary. He engages when alignment exists, not when pressure is applied. This makes his commitments more valuable. When he chooses to stay, it is not because he is afraid to leave. It is because he has evaluated the situation and decided it is worth his presence. That choice carries weight. Most people confuse emotional intensity with connection. He does not. He understands that the strongest position in any dynamic is the ability to leave without resentment. That ability does not come from indifference, but from self-sufficiency. He has built a life identity and internal stability that do not collapse when others withdraw. This makes him resilient in environments where others become reactive. In negotiations, relationships, and conflicts, this trait is decisive. While others trade concessions to preserve attachment, he trades only when value is clear. While others soften their stance to avoid discomfort, he holds position calmly. He is not cruel. He is simply unmoved by tactics designed for dependent minds. Power shifts toward those who cannot be coerced emotionally, and he knows it. This is why self-sufficiency is not loneliness. It is strategic independence. A man who enjoys being alone has already stepped beyond the most common control mechanisms. What remains is choice, clarity, and leverage. A man who spends time alone develops a level of perception that cannot be trained in constant conversation. Noise dulls awareness. Opinions blur signals. Continuous interaction forces reaction. In solitude, observation sharpens. Without the pressure to respond, impress, or align, the mind becomes receptive rather than performative. This man is not rehearsing what to say next. He is watching, and watching reveals what speaking conceals. Most people expose themselves unintentionally when they feel unobserved. They relax their masks, contradict their earlier statements, and leak emotional priorities through tone, timing, and emphasis. The man who enjoys being alone is accustomed to silence, so he does not rush to fill gaps. He allows others to talk past necessity. In doing so, he gathers unfiltered data. Not what people want to project, but what slips out when they are no longer managing impressions. This creates an asymmetry of information. While others believe they are engaging in mutual exchange, he is conducting quiet analysis. He notices who seeks approval, who avoids responsibility, who escalates emotionally, and who retreats under pressure. These patterns repeat. Most people are far more predictable than they realize. They believe their words define them, but their behavior defines them more accurately. He tracks behavior. Because he is not emotionally invested in being liked, his perception is not distorted by hope or fear. Attachment clouds judgment. Desire edits reality. The man who enjoys being alone has reduced both. This allows him to see inconsistencies without rationalizing them away. When someone's actions do not match their language, he registers it without confrontation. He does not correct people immediately. He lets the pattern complete itself. This patience gives him clarity others never reach. People often mistake his quiet presence for passivity. They assume silence means agreement, confusion, or lack of awareness. This assumption is costly. While they believe they are leading the interaction, they are being mapped. Motivations, insecurities, and limits become visible over time. He does not interrupt the process. He allows others to reveal themselves fully because interruption would stop the data flow. This perceptual advantage compounds in social and professional environments. Meetings, negotiations, and relationships are filled with subtle power exchanges most people miss because they are focused on performance. He is not. He watches who speaks first, who reacts emotionally to resistance, who deflects blame, and who remains composed. These micro behaviors reveal hierarchy, confidence, and intent far more reliably than words. Silence also enhances intuition, but not in a mystical sense. Pattern recognition improves when the mind is not overloaded. Solitude gives the brain time to process experiences deeply rather than superficially. Connections form between past interactions and present behavior. He recognizes familiar dynamics quickly. He has seen them before. This reduces surprise and increases preparedness. When others feel blindsided, he feels confirmed. Because he sees more, he speaks less. He understands that revealing insight too early shifts dynamics prematurely. People alter behavior when they feel seen. He often waits. Waiting allows him to observe reactions under natural conditions. When action is required, it is informed by a complete picture, not a fragment. This makes his decisions feel decisive and accurate, even when others cannot trace the reasoning. This awareness also protects him from manipulation. Emotional tactics rely on misdirection and urgency. When someone attempts to steer him through pressure, guilt, or flattery, he recognizes the pattern immediately. He has seen the same structure in different forms. Recognition neutralizes effect. What works on unaware minds fails on observant ones. Importantly, his perception is not judgmental. It is strategic. He does not categorize people as good or bad. He categorizes them as predictable or unpredictable, stable or reactive, aligned or misaligned. This removes emotional noise from decision-making. He chooses proximity based on patterns, not promises. Over time, this level of perception changes how he moves. He avoids unnecessary conflicts because he sees them forming early. He avoids entanglements that will cost more than they return. He aligns with people whose behavior is consistent under pressure. This selectivity makes his life quieter but more controlled. This is why solitude refines perception. It removes the urgency to participate and replaces it with the ability to see. Most people are busy expressing themselves. He is busy understanding others. And understanding, when combined with restraint, is one of the highest forms of power. A man who enjoys being alone does not chase visibility because he understands the hidden cost of exposure. Most people believe attention creates power. In reality, attention creates vulnerability. Every detail shared becomes a point of access. Every emotion displayed becomes a potential lever. This man has learned, often through observation rather than pain, that mystery preserves leverage. He does not disappear out of fear. He limits access out of discipline. While others feel compelled to announce progress, explain decisions, or narrate their lives, he withholds by default. Not everything needs to be understood by others. Not every move requires validation. This restraint is misinterpreted by the unaware as secrecy or arrogance. In truth, it is positioning. The less people know about his internal state, intentions, and next steps, the less they can interfere, influence, or anticipate him. Unpredictability, when rooted in control rather than chaos, is a strategic advantage. Most people overshare because they confuse connection with disclosure. They reveal too much too early in the hope of building trust, not realizing that trust built without discretion collapses under pressure. This man understands that real trust forms over time through consistency, not exposure. He lets people earn access gradually. Each layer of proximity is intentional. Each piece of personal information released serves a purpose, not an emotional impulse. By controlling access, he also controls narrative. People fill informational gaps with assumptions. Some of those assumptions elevate him. Others underestimate him. He does not rush to correct either. Overestimation creates caution. Underestimation creates opportunity. Both are useful. What he avoids is clarity that empowers opposition. He understands that being fully understood is rarely beneficial outside of carefully chosen alliances. This selective visibility changes how he is treated. People cannot predict his reactions easily. They cannot anticipate his limits precisely. This uncertainty creates respect even in the absence of overt dominance. Humans are cautious around what they cannot read. Loud confidence invites challenge. Quiet certainty invites distance. He operates from the latter. Privacy also protects emotional capital. When personal struggles are broadcast, they invite commentary, judgment, and influence. This fragments focus. He processes challenges internally or with a very small, trusted circle. This keeps external noise from shaping internal decisions. While others are pulled in multiple directions by opinions and advice, he moves along a single, self-defined axis. In professional and social environments, this discipline compounds. He does not advertise ambitions prematurely. He allows results to appear before explanations. This reverses the usual power sequence. Instead of asking for permission or support, he presents outcomes. Outcomes silence debate. Explanations invite it. By the time others understand what he has done, the position is already established. Importantly, his restraint does not isolate him from meaningful connection. It filters it. Those who remain are there by choice, not convenience. They are aligned, not merely entertained. This makes his relationships quieter but stronger. Fewer people know him deeply, but those who do understand the value of discretion. This mutual restraint builds respect rather than dependence. Most people fear being forgotten if they are not visible. He understands the opposite. Scarcity increases perceived value. When his presence is rare, it is noticed. When his input is limited, it is considered. He does not compete for relevance. He controls availability. Control of availability is one of the most overlooked forms of power. This approach also shields him from unnecessary conflict. Overexposed lives attract opinions, envy, and resistance. Private lives attract far less interference. He moves without commentary, adjusts without scrutiny, and evolves without external pressure. This freedom accelerates growth quietly. Others are slowed by constant reaction to external feedback. He is not. Ultimately, this discipline reflects a deeper awareness. Not everyone deserves access, and not every truth needs a witness. Power weakens when it is explained repeatedly. Strength erodes when it is displayed constantly. The man who enjoys being alone understands that mystery is not deception. It is protection. And protection preserves leverage until the moment leverage must be used. A man who enjoys being alone is not idle in his solitude. He is preparing. While most people interpret stillness as stagnation, he understands it as incubation. Solitude creates space for long-range thinking, self-correction, and internal alignment. There is no pressure to perform progress publicly. There is no rush to demonstrate movement. This absence of external demand allows him to build quietly, deliberately, and without distortion. Preparation requires honesty, and honesty is uncomfortable in groups. Alone, he confronts his limitations without defensiveness. There is no image to protect, no audience to persuade. Weaknesses are identified precisely because they cannot be hidden. This self-assessment is not self-criticism. It is calibration. He adjusts skills, habits, and direction incrementally, knowing that unseen improvement compounds faster than visible performance. Because his work is internal first, his actions later appear effortless. Others see outcomes without witnessing the process and mistake this for luck or privilege. They do not see the repetitions, the corrections, the long periods of silence where nothing seemed to happen. He is comfortable with this misunderstanding. Recognition is not the objective. Effectiveness is. This internal preparation gives him a unique relationship with time. He does not feel the same urgency to act immediately or respond constantly. He understands timing as a strategic variable. Acting too early exposes intent. Acting too late forfeits opportunity. Solitude sharpens his sense of when conditions are aligned. He waits not because he is hesitant, but because he is observant. When he moves, it is with commitment rather than trial. Because he is not waiting for permission or validation, his actions are decisive. There is no need to test reactions or seek consensus. His internal alignment has already resolved the question. This decisiveness can feel abrupt to those who rely on external cues to act. They experience his movement as sudden. In reality, the decision was made long before it became visible. This preparation also extends to relationships and conflict. He does not enter situations emotionally unarmed. He has rehearsed responses, considered outcomes, and accepted consequences privately. This removes hesitation under pressure. When others scramble to adjust mid-conflict, he executes a pre-considered path. This makes him appear composed and grounded even in unstable environments. Importantly, his solitude has taught him restraint in engagement. He does not rush into alliances or disputes. He evaluates alignment quietly. If values, direction, or integrity are misaligned, he disengages early. This avoids costly entanglements. While others accumulate complexity through unmanaged commitments, he remains streamlined. Simplicity is not lack of ambition, it is clarity of focus. His independence also reshapes his sense of identity. He is not defined by roles assigned by others. He does not outsource self-worth to status, titles, or approval. Identity anchored internally is stable under change. When circumstances shift, he adapts without existential disruption. This resilience is rare, and it makes him difficult to unsettle or coerce. When he does enter environments of competition or collaboration, his presence shifts dynamics subtly. He does not seek dominance, but his lack of need creates it. He is not there to prove himself. He is there to execute. This reduces noise and increases efficiency. Others adjust their behavior in response, often without realizing why. Ultimately, his solitude is not separation from the world. It is preparation for precise engagement with it. He chooses moments carefully, enters situations fully, and exits without regret. There is no wasted motion, no emotional residue, no need for applause. This is the quiet advantage of a man who enjoys being alone. While others are reacting, he is ready. While others are seeking direction, he has already chosen. And when the moment arrives, he does not hesitate. If this sharpened your awareness, like the video and subscribe, not for motivation, but for alignment with higher level thinking. The most dangerous man in the room is rarely the loudest one. Sometimes silence is the warning.